Hello. Yeah. Well, they're only articulating what we're really thinking. So this is that sort of classic thing of if a tree in the woods falls and there's no one around to hear it, did it actually fall over? Did it actually make a sound? And the same thing is, if there's nobody around to actually watch this, did we actually do this and are we actually broadcasting live to the world? I don't know. The only way to find out is to comment. If you are watching this, is to comment. Oh, we've got an I'm ready. We've already got a message. What's that? It's good, isn't it? It's good, isn't it? It's, no, no, no. Nobody listens. Well, if they do, they're just generally sat with a look on their face like this. It's that. It's just a or just a okay, an entirely gifable facial expression. Try not to swear, because I know this. I know there's children. I know there's children watching. Hello. Yeah. Oh yeah. That's really weird because he was on the. I was in the gym this afternoon, and there was a repeat of a quiz show that he was on that was on the telly this afternoon. That's quite an. No, I don't think so. It was very well. If it was a very sparsely decorated wedding because it was just a room with three people in it. Although to be fair, that's much like a wedding is right now. So maybe Shane Ritchie knew all along, and we didn't really listen to him because he's a tosspot. Anyway, but yeah, yeah, right, okay. Who is this? Yes, yes, yes. Did he? Yeah. Well, yeah. I was gonna say. I was gonna say. Um, yes, that it could. Yeah. Um, I don't know. Should I mention this as we're live? Because I'm just getting a text saying that people can only hear me. So I don't know if that's true or not, and all your great witticisms are being lost. Well, I don't know. This is okay. So Could be. Probably. Well, yeah, could be great. Could be an absolute disaster. It could be the Mick Fleetwood, Sam Fox, Brits89 equivalent for the Twitch / YouTube / live streaming generation. Could be. Yeah, that's a combination that didn't work on any level, and whoever dreamt that up in the studios of ITV in the offices of just no, this is not what we're about. It's like having the idea again. That's the pop culture equivalent of, let's say, for example, I don't know, Charles Moore becoming chairman of the BBC. And Paul Dacre becoming chairman of Ofcom. It's an idea that's just as bad in any semblance. It's just completely incongruous, and therefore it's not going to work. De Gaulle, yeah. Yeah. Mm. Apparently, the internet can't hear you. Well, yeah, I mean, but that's the internet can't hear you. All right then. Well, it's obviously because I can hear you. Yeah, it is. I'm trying to think. Is there a way we can work around this to make it work? Is there a way? Hang on. Oh no, I know what to do. Hang on. I know what will fix this. Right. This might work. Right. Keep talking.
I once went to Blackpool. I met a man there. He was drunk on cider and lots of crack cocaine. Blackpool is a great place. It's homely and it's warm. I can drink cider and crack cane until the dawn. Blackpool, Blackpool, Blackpool is the best. Blackpool, Blackpool, come and show your breast. Blackpool, Blackpool, a mighty fine town. If you like incest and Mark 1. Was that a good song? That was off the top of my head.
I think this might be working now. I think we might have you now. That just in time for that beautiful song.
You want me now?
Well, I don't. Yeah. Well, of course we do.
Do you want me, internets?
Well, of course we want you. Of course we want you.
Who's Cathwa? Hello, Cathwa.
Hello, Cathwa. I know who that is.
Cathwa?
That's a long-standing friend of mine. I don't use the word old friend because that's wrong. But she says she can't hear Dan, but hopefully she can now. I hope.
Don't care, Cathwa.
I think you can.
Don't care.
I think you can, because it's showing up on my little feed here. Keep talking. Sing another song for us. That was beautiful. Before I get into Blackpool.
I once went to Newcastle. It's a mighty town. Gateshead is opposite. It's got most of the amenities. Newcastle is very nice, but it's often cold. Eldon Square is awful, but everywhere else is nice. Strawberry Thingy is next to the football stadium, next to the university, and an Irish pub. The Irish pub sold soda bread and Irish stew and beer. I liked it a lot. There you go. I feel like we're bringing back vaudeville.
Do you think?
And if we are the vanguard of vaudeville, so be it. I can do an old Bob Hope routine. Yeah.
That was beautiful. Can I just say Blackpool's really nice? And the reason I know this, it is, because I flew over it the other day.
Like a seagull in the wind.
Yeah. That was an impression of a seagull for some reason. I don't know what that was about.
So the other thing that I hate about these type of live events on podcasts, or podcast doing live events of streaming, you sort of then have to backtrack and fill in the gaps of what people might have missed on the previous 49 episodes that were just podcasts and didn't have vision. So let me just précis this by saying Mike had a flying lesson in Blackpool.
Yes. That's what happened in episode 49. It's very exciting, like a cliffhanger, which ironically is what I came out of in the plane, out of a not hanger run by a man called Cliff, but nonetheless, yeah.
Were you like John Lithgow?
What, with a really bad British accent? Well, his accent was actually not too bad in that, was it? To be honest,
he was really well.
He was good actor. He's a good actor. Good actor.
He lives over here, doesn't he? That's why he was in Great British Bake Off Stand Up to Cancer thing.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah.
He's going to be in the new Perry Mason, I think.
Oh, I haven't watched that. It's on HBO. It's got Matthew Rhys as Perry in it.
Yeah.
Wasn't Perry Mason also Ironside?
Raymond Burr, yeah.
But then he was in a wheelchair.
He was, but I weirdly, I've been reading up on this a bit over the last week. Is that actually in the last Perry Masons, he was also in a wheelchair when the Perry Mason returned because he was very, very ill.
Yeah.
So yeah, but no, I did go on a flying lesson. So I flew. The way this worked was that it was an hour long, and the idea was that there was two of us, and so we shared half an hour's flying each, and I opted to go first, and flew down sort of across the Lake District back down towards Southport and towards Seaforth Docks, Crosby Beach, etc. And then turned around and flew back. And then the other lad that was in the plane with me when we landed, then we swapped over. He then flew, and we flew up the Fylde Coast, up the Golden Mile, round across Fleetwood into Morecambe Bay, and then back down. And it was terrific, absolutely brilliant.
Then you all went back to the hangar for a whiskey and an orgy.
Oh, obviously, yeah.
Was that nice?
Well, the whiskey was excellent. Yeah, I can't speak for the same for the orgy, but no. So that was great, and then of course the weekend was made even better at that point because Everton then went to the top of the league briefly on for 24 hours on Saturday and Sunday until Leicester inexplicably managed to beat Manchester City. Well, actually entirely inexplicably if you watch the game.
Not inexplicably.
Yeah. But still, Everton, could be top of a different league. And by league, I mean the UK top 40. It's the only chart that counts.
The iTunes chart.
The iTunes chart, because currently they're at the top with a song called Spirit of the Blues, which I'd love to play you a clip of, but if I do that, then chances are this stream will get shut down. So that's it. That'll have to do. And
can we just have another strain? Just a...
There you go. That'll do. Yeah,
that's lovely.
That's all we need. I think that says everything. A song that recorded in 1984, the same year, of course, that Chaka Khan released "I Feel for You," one of the most contemporary modern pop songs. It was
Wasn't that Nile Rodgers as well?
Which Chaka Khan? Prince wrote it. I don't think who produced it. Well, I don't think it was Nile Rodgers.
Chaka Khan, let me rock you because you can't get the pound for that.
Yes, we're on the. Okay, so we can now hear you. We can hear you.
Oh,
Clem.
brilliant.
We can now hear you. I've tweaked things around.
Kath were.
And Kath were,
Nothing.
and now Becky Lawton on the Twitch. Never heard of her.
Really?
Never heard of her.
Really?
Yeah.
She's on the Twitch.
She's on. Hey. Oh.
Oh, really?
She's on, yeah. So yeah.
Explain me this. So
okay.
I don't want to besmirch anybody with this.
Yeah.
But Tourette's is a very serious condition. Tourette syndrome. Lots of people have it.
Yeah.
And over the last 40 odd years, TV has tried to demystify Tourette's by saying, "Oh yeah, we want to find out what Tourette's is." No, you don't. You want to put people on screen that you can laugh at because they either swear involuntary, have physical tics that are humorous, or you just want to take the mick. So I don't like TV for that. But what I want to know about Tourette's is why the swear words? Because they're normally the extreme swear words, the ones that I like to throw in casual conversation.
Yeah.
But I don't understand how, or where you go, you're ugly or fatty, or I don't understand. There must be a part of the brain that researchers into Tourette's are either going, shall we just leave it? It's funny. Or they want to seriously look at, there must be a nature-nurture debate with Tourette's. It's obvious people have physical tics. People have vocal tics. OCD, I could be wrong, is sort of a different variant of Tourette's, isn't it? Because it's almost a reflex that you get into. I don't know if you're the correct medical opinion that I should be going to this with, but
what you're essentially saying is, why do people swear when they have Tourette's? Why do they, instead of saying, why can't they just say like the random words of like vegetables, for example, like names of vegetables?
Some people do say random words. We're conditioned to think that it's all effing and jeffing because that makes the best TV documentary. But some people do say random things, but the ones that are in the public eye, because it makes great telly, guys. It's always the worst swear words or the most antisocial things to say in a situation. So there was once a documentary about someone with Tourette's going to an airport, and all they could say was "bomb," and that's not a good thing to say. Anyway.
No, it's not. It's not. No.
But it's like, well, I can understand the Tourette syndrome part of it.
Yeah.
But then there must be a conditioning. Oh, helicopters. It's like living in Nam.
Was that actually a helicopter, or did you just have an involuntary need to say the word helicopter? Was that a live demonstration of Tourette?
That was a live helicopter. They're still putting out the fires.
Yeah.
It's a weird one, and I don't want to belittle people with Tourette's or people who help people with Tourette's. There's another one.
Okay, there's another one.
It's what I can't understand.
That's my flight. That's my flight. I'm not actually here. This is all pre-recorded. I'm actually flying over your house right now.
It works for Saudi nationals. It could work for you.
Yeah.
How were their passports found in the rubble? I'm not a conspiracy theorist, and we've had this chat many a time on top content episodes. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but so jet fuel melted steel beams in a skyscraper that had only just been reinsured, and then they managed to find the passport of the terrorists in the rubble. What? No.
You sure they hadn't just dropped? All right, anyway. But can we extrapolate this Tourette's idea to, you think, well, actually, why do people say that the things that they say? Because we've got a number of people in positions of authority in this country, and you watch them and you hear them and you think, why have you said that? For example, let's just picking an example at random. Hat Mancock, great friend of this podcast. Why does he say the things that he says? Why does he say, actually, if you get COVID now, it's all your fault?
It's all your fault.
And also,
he's the Secretary of Health.
Is. And also, why did he think that answering a question about whether you can go round to people's houses and have casual sex during this, which he was asked by Kay Burley, I don't know whether, on Sky News, I don't know whether she was actually propositioning him, live on television. Stranger things have happened. Jamie Theakston asked Jerry Halliwell to go out with him live on Live and Kicking. It's happened before. Check the archives. You think, well, why did they say the things that they say? The aforementioned Gavin Williamson, although nobody heard you when you said about Gavin Williamson. So, him, I mean, we're starting to see a theme here developing. It seems to be members of the cabinet that seem to just say, and you just go, why have you said these things? Why? What?
I'm happily married, but if Kay Burley fancies some casual sex, I might get on a plane.
Well, I can fly you back if you need to. It might take a while for me to get over there because it's several thousand miles.
There's something delicious about Kay Burley, and I don't know what it is. I think she's just very brusque, and
is it
that's very sexually appealing.
Is it the fact that what's delicious about it is the fact that she so often gets herself into terrible scrapes and ends up being mocked mercilessly on social media for it? It's nothing to do with the fact that there's, in any way, the fact that she's a woman. It's just to do with the fact that she's at times is really, really tin-eared.
I would never besmirch her that way.
Would you not? Oh, all right.
I would.
You besmirch her in other ways.
I'll make love to you if you want me to, baby. All through the night, Burley, holding you tight, spooning you tightly.
Was that Boys to Men?
That was Boys.
That was lovely. That was great. If that has not us taken, I was going to say we were concerned about copyrighted material going out on Twitch and YouTube that it might take us down, but on the basis of that, there is no piece of software that they could have has yet been invented that could say that was so close to sounding like Boys to Men that it would have to take this live stream down. Take it down.
But there's only 3 Boys to Men now, isn't there? Because there used to be 4, and then one of them either left or died. So 4, I won't have a fight with. 3, I'd fancy my chances.
Well,
got to be back to orgies.
But this is hang on, was this the same? Well, because this is where, because Boys to Men, they're still technically boys because there's 3 of them, so it's plural, even though it's misspelled.
Yeah.
So, but what about like the 4 Tops has got a row, has to have many members, because
they're like a futsal squad, aren't they?
Yeah.
Rolling substitutions.
Rolling substitutions. He's actually one of the members. Rolling substitutions. And
what a soul voice, so deep,
beautiful.
Baritone.
Oh, sonorous voice. He joined in 87. And then you've got All For One, who did the iconic I Swear. Now, what happens?
The moon and the stars in the sky.
That's the one. Now, what happens if one of them goes down sick? And you get a phone call at 4. They've got a gig.
Because it was all for one.
All for one. That's the way it was written. So what happens if they've got a gig? Let's say, I don't know, the Garstang British Legion, right? On Thursday night. It's a prime spot. And then 4:00 in the afternoon, Derek phones Jeff. And Jeff, I can't get there, mate. The Nova's broken down. And they're like, shit, what do we do here? So what do they do? Do they have to get somebody there, pronto? Or did they just we'll just have to sort of blag it? And do they have to call up, the backup member of the band?
I know, it's funny you mention this, because I know that this actually happened. And it was around 1999, so not much longer after their initial pop success. And they were having a drink in what was then a Hogshead pub. And Keith didn't turn up.
Keith?
Is
this
Keith
All For One? Is this? This
is All For One.
Yeah.
Keith
didn't
turn
up.
There, and they went, we can't go on like this. If Keith doesn't turn up to gigs, we're not All For One anymore.
No.
So there and then, they got out their checkbook, went up to the landlord of the local hogshead that they were drinking in. I believe they were having snake bites, which for an American is just an extreme drink.
Yeah.
And they decided right there and then that All for One without Keith would become All Bar One. And that is where we've now got the slightly upscaled pub chain for salespeople and executives in highly populated office surroundings.
Yeah.
So it's funny that you brought that up because, you know, all for one become all bar one.
All bar one.
And Keith is on his own.
Keith, it's terrible.
He's not part of that pop pub success.
See, but it's ironic because the same thing happened a few years before when neither Neil Tennant or Chris Lowe were available for a Pet Shop Boys gig, so they had to go in there and get a slug and a lettuce, and thus a pub chain was born.
And I know for a pop fact, Neil Tennant hates bacon-loaded potato skins. And what is the best thing that you can get at a slug and lettuce? Bacon-loaded potato skins. Everything that they do antagonises Neil Tennant.
Yeah.
They, for many, many years, when other pub chains, there are available, wrote propaganda for Brexit and leaving the EU.
Yeah.
Slug and Lettuce refused to have any vintage copies of smash hits on their premises, just in case any of those articles were written by Neil Tennant. They were big fans of Select magazine and Vox, but never fucking smash hits.
This is the level of cultural revisionism we've ended up in, you see. You now can't get a copy of smash hits, vintage smash hits, in a slug and lettuce. This is where... I mean, you know, this is the thing. You know, they launched this pub chain, whether by hook or by crook, by fluke, you know, and then they wrote a song saying, let's make lots of money, whereas now you'd have to rewrite that song, say, let's make lots of money, brackets, as long as everybody's out on the street by 10 p.m.
And brackets, as long as VAT is still at a 5% holding rate.
Yeah.
Thanks to Dan, the kitchen man. Have you heard as well? So since
never gets old, that joke. That's excellent.
The year dots. You have always said Hat Mancock.
Hat Mancock.
I think is very funny.
It's a lovely spoonerism, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you.
And the previous health secretary was, of course, Jeremy Hunt, which was a troublesome word for many a journalist.
Yeah.
Have you heard the story that in the Department of Health right now, a memo has gone round? Now, this story could be true or false, but I hope it's true. That people have been told to implicitly stop referring to the current Secretary of Health as Matt Wancock. And the memo's been sent around the Department of Health to tell people, stop it. Because the more people refer to Hat Bangkok as Matt Wancock, the more possible it could come out of people's mouths during meetings. So I don't know whether it's true or not, but I'd like to think it is. Stop saying Matt Wancock.
This is why Priti Patel is no fun, because her name isn't fun. Because it's just the same. Oh, let's do this. Oh, Wavin Gilliamson, or Gris Kraling, or, you know, Joris Bonson. Which...
Or what? Grant Shapps?
That doesn't work very well, does it?
No, but you don't know what name he's got from one day to the next, so it doesn't really matter.
Geigel Marine? Fabastian Socks? That works well. That's very Dickensian,
he played at
isn't
Villa,
it?
Didn't he? He was at Wigan for a bit.
Yeah.
Won the FA Cup, then left. Obviously,
he's on the bench tonight against Fulham. Actually, yeah. He's been linked with a loan move to Sunderland. Yeah, no. But yeah. Oh. But yeah, I love that would be a memo that would be sent round. the Department of Health. It's like,
Which,
don't do this. It's not funny. Oh, that's actually Gavin Williamson saying, don't call Matt this.
Robust.
Robust.
Robust. Robust.
Robust. Very robust.
Oat cake. I like my oat cake with jam. It's very robust. Oh, God. Jesus.
But Matt had got he is the gift that keeps on giving, isn't he? He really is. Like COVID in many ways. It is just
next time you watch Matt Mancock,
Mancock's half hour.
Next time you watch him in an interview, which I've seen a lot of interviews bizarrely happening on the set of BBC News because everything's sort of moved out of studios, haven't they, into these sealed rooms in the basement of New Broadcasting House. But every time you watch Pat Mancock in an interview, imagine that he thinks he has an invisible friend, and when you watch it, he's not talking to the person who's interviewing him. He's often talking to his invisible friend, and it's trust me on this. Next time you see him in any interview, where there is obviously an interviewer, so it could be Andrew Marr, it can't be Andrew Neil anymore. It could be anyone just on the other side of the camera. He doesn't talk to them. He talks to his invisible friend, and it's bizarre. It must be one of those coping mechanisms he's sort of worked out. So he often starts talking to the interviewer, but then he starts talking to his imaginary friend, and his language changes slightly, and it's really bizarre to see.
Do you think then, actually, that what he's doing is he's trying by sort of almost like ESP, by sort of telepathic means, telekinesis to sort of, well, telekinesis is movement of objects, isn't it? And is telepathy is to sort of try and put in a kind of a Uri Geller kind of way, put in the heads of the public that are watching him the idea that actually, because you can't have people come to your house, really, in a lot, you can't have mixing of households in lots of parts of the country, that what we should all have is an invisible friend that we can talk to. Now this is good because this is a government initiative that they can actually come up with that won't cost them anything. But we're all as individuals richer for having, not financially, but just our lives are enriched by having an
imaginary friend.
An imaginary friend. Yeah.
Yeah, but Boris has had one for years, and that's what he blames everything on. It's never Boris's fault. It's his imaginary friend's fault.
Well, yeah, but that's all because all his friends are imaginary, surely.
Yeah, but you could be onto something in that he could be using this imaginary invisible friend as a proxy for the public. So instead of talking to the interview, he's talking to the invisible. That works. It works. When I did some TV presenting years ago, which was...
Did they put the microphone on for you from the start?
Yeah, they did.
They said, that's an improvement on this.
It wasn't much of an improvement, though. When I first started...
He had a crew as big as this, to be fair. 2.
He did. They said, do you want... They had a teddy bear. And they said, do you want this teddy bear?
Yeah.
On the tripod? And I went, why? And they went, sometimes it helps if you think you're talking to somebody.
Right. Now, now that's interesting because do you know that's where Keir Starmer went wrong last week at the Labour conference? I'm not him. Because I watched that and I'm like, what is he doing? But surely somebody could have popped the camera on top of the autocue. But thinking, come on, lads. And lasses, sort it out.
Yeah, but Keir Starmer, because he is a former Silk, isn't he? And Director of Public Prosecution.
Yeah.
He's used to playing the room when it comes to being in a court. So when you're playing the room in a court, you have to keep moving your head around.
Yeah.
It's like stand up.
So
you have
what-
to keep moving your head around.
Yeah.
If you focus on one thing or one person, you're fucked.
Yeah,
Can I say that?
you can. Well, you've said it now.
I've said it now.
I've said it now. Yeah.
But yeah,
Sorry to any kids watching. No, but
Sorry to anybody
But in that case, then why didn't they set up his speech last week at the Labour Party conference, which was held in Doncaster?
was it at the Dome?
No, it was. Oh, I don't know. It was some centre which apparently was it the Latin name for? No, it was the Latin name for Doncaster. I think.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
right.
Doncaster Run.
That's the one. Yeah. And why didn't they set it up like Harry Hill's TV burp? So they could play, Keir Starmer's. So they could set it up so occasionally at points, if his sort of natural tendency is to look around the room, and they do that in Parliament, don't they? When they're Mr. Speaker and they're looking to the back benches and all this. And why didn't they set it up so that occasionally during the speeches he could just do a little aside to camera and just go, and just like, I'm not him, as in I'm not Boris, and then Jeremy Corbyn, or start with him sort of talking to somebody off camera at the start. Yeah, anti-Semitism, it's gone, it's done. Oh, and then off they go. They missed a trick there massively from a production point of view. We're now television experts. We've done as much live television as anybody else on the basis of this.
What is better, universal basic income or universal credit? There's only one way to find out.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I have to say, as somebody that's done not as much television as you have. In fact, mine wasn't broadcast. It was just a live television show that was broadcast onto a big screen. And I interviewed 3 Germans who were going to a match at Anfield. And I said to them, what are you here to say? And they didn't speak any English. And I picked them purely because we had a very limited sphere where we could go to, like, the camera would keep signal direct to the production truck. And there were 3 guys stood in the most identical outfits. They looked amazing. They looked like Father Christmas. It was great, like elves. They look like elves. And I went to them and they were like, and I said, and eventually all I got out of them, it was brilliant because it was just a minute of, right, this is slightly awkward. They can't understand me. I don't really speak German. And at the end of it, I just went, who are you here to see? And they just went, Kloppy. And I just went, pass back to you, mate. And that was it. That was all we needed. That was it. That was the takeaway.
Oh man.
Yeah.
It's...
So I think for future party conferences, particularly if heaven forbid that next year they continue in the similar way as they have this, I think what we need to do is kind of reenact old TV shows or just nick the production styles from. So maybe you could have like, the Liberal Democrats could have theirs in like a nightclub and do it in the style of Top of the Pops from the 80s, and they could do a top. Hitman and Her, yeah, there you go.
Hitman and Her.
You can have Ed Davey, Layla Moran, yeah, brilliant, yeah. And they could do a countdown of the top 10 Liberal Democrat MPs because that'll be all of them.
Yeah.
And then
Layla Moran then gets kicked out by a bouncer.
Yes,
for beating a fella up.
Yeah, and then you could have the Tory party conference done in the style of Noel's house party. So
Boris Johnson's crinkly bottom.
Boris Johnson's crinkly bottom. I mean, you can pick who you want to be Mr. Blobby in that instance. Eric Pickles could wander in at random points. I mean, Boris can come down the stairs, Pratt fall over it, and then occasionally you can just have Jacob Rees-Mogg turns up as the local landowner. Bing bong. Yeah, here he is. Hey! Does some really
IDS plays Tony Blackburn.
Yes. Is that's a potential? That's a jazz album that he's going to be doing, isn't it? I think.
William Hague turns up as the LT.
I like the idea of IDS plays Tony Blackburn.
If we're doing this, then can we have the Labour Party conference as Gogglebox, and we'll have Angela Eagle as Jenny in her caravan in Hull, and Keir Starmer as Lee.
Angela Eagle or Angela Rayner?
Oh, Angela Rayner.
Angela Rayner. I was going to say that'd work much better. Yeah.
And have Keir Starmer as Lee, because
well, they're my favourite too off Gogglebox. So that's right.
Somebody said Keir Starmer is the spit of Lee, and it's really weird.
I like Keir Starmer, and you've ruined it for me now because I'm just going, no, what's he done there?
I love
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. I mean,
But the
that's
worst thing
straight
is-
out of 70s sitcom. That sort of no.
At least after one of the ad breaks, you got Craig Cash going in Hull, and then you just go to a caravan, and it's like I'm Hull born and bred, and the rest of the country probably thinks everybody in Hull lives in caravans. It's like, what the hell? No. And what I like about Lee as well is he's either being given a shed load of them, or he goes to Primark to buy all their T-shirts that have places from California. on
Yes,
them.
yes, yeah. That's what he's doing with his £1,200 a week or whatever the hell he get for being on Gogglebox.